Hi, folks. Nick Tockert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Pardon me, my camera is having a little trouble focusing in on me, and I need to switch my glasses out so I don't hurt my eyes anymore. Thank you for your tolerance. Hi. I'm still recovering from the boink that is my... I had an eye doctor appointment, and much like dental appointments, the meds greatly affect me. So before we get into the program, I do have some bills to pay. First and foremost, we need to put a big shout out to our good friends over at the Independent Creator Directory. That's IndieCD.org, your one-stop shop for the best of the brightest authors, artists, musicians, and other creatives like me, as well as, especially for this series, The Simple Sword, The Fighting Axe, and The Simple Spear, all part of my ongoing series of Western martial arts manuals designed to help you to go from having never handled the sword to teaching the art to others. Now, it looks like we've got a bit of a full house tonight. So let's go through the... Let me scroll through the comments a bit. All right. Looks like you guys are going to be talking about food. Rock on. We have a lot to talk about tonight. I have some interesting points of discussion. We may do a little cooperative net searching just to prove how easy some of what I want to do is. Now, what we want to talk about. Okay. For me, the first week of November is the great shift. It is the great shift from the fall, wonderful time to be sword fighting, to really the winter conversion, when we start talking much more about gear and equipment and preparation for such things. Now, right now, the climate is very uncertain for a lot of people. The forecasts have been rather scary, and I am aware of this. We've had increased instability for a long time, and that is resulting in quite a few unexpected changes. So, how are we going to deal with this? Well, first and foremost, we have to break down what we're doing here. And as practitioners of Western martial arts, we have to go all the way to the base. This is what I always tell people. When you are scared, when you're panicking about advancing, you always go to the simplest situation and work your way out. In this case, we're going to talk about you need to have the proper mindset. You need to have the proper sense of physicality. And then you radiate to gear and arms and the applications. But before you can worry about sparring or fighting with anybody or understanding how that works, you have to start in a proper mindset. Okay? So when we're looking at what we do, we want to realize we need to get as clear and healthy as possible in our minds and in our bodies. Now, for some reason, and I'm not quite sure why, there is a disjointing of athleticism and martial arts, especially weapons-based martial arts in America. It's not something people like to discuss. This is why you see, especially in reenactment groups, a great many individuals at the low to middle levels, especially, who are not the healthiest physical specimens. Now, I'm not talking about working with a disability. That is a whole different part. And this is not in any way, shape, or form a body shaming or anything like that. We are not looking at your start point. We are looking at the path of progress. Okay? So for what we do, you want to be able to exert yourself. You want to be able to exert yourself aerobically and anaerobically. That means the things that are fueled by breathing, running, jumping, throwing. Shots actually tend to be anaerobic, but they can be. It gets weird. But anaerobic, holding weight, moving things under burden. This is dragging, lifting, pushing, pulling, all the basic exercises. And one thing you can do as a person who is interested in Western martial arts, which we primarily geared toward, but this is totally, guys, this is totally applicable for Eastern as well. However, I like to try to stay in my wheelhouse, in my bailiwick, that is, as much as humanly possible. That means we want to do and maintain our exercises. We want to really do rudimentary basic exercises within the confines and capabilities of our medical care provider's permission. So that means anytime you're going to start a regiment, you want to talk to your medical care provider first. Now, due to the end of the year and deductibles being a thing, I would schedule any medical procedures, we may be having a little bit of internet difficulties, any evaluations early, and with the possibility of the weather being unstable, you want to make sure you keep a reasonable quantity of your meds on hand, which can be difficult as you balance the acquisition of your medicine with what the insurance provides and stuff. So it's usually best done at the end of the year. Certainly, we want to work to get into the best shape we can before January, when everything rolls over. Early January can be a very trying time because a lot of people will be doing different things with their medical providers. So we want to make sure that you guys have as much in line as possible. Now, with that comes the slow building up. Wherever possible, you want to use body weight. Or items you have at home. You don't want to have to go to the gym to train. Going to the gym to train is fine. If it's something you're already doing, rock on. But make sure you're keeping yourself versatile. Don't be just doing all strength. And on top of whatever you do, maintain a daily regimen. Every day, there are two things I do. One is for my mental health. One is for my physical health. And that being every single day, usually fairly late at night, because I have trouble going to sleep if I don't do it right before bed, I do my drills. My drills are not necessarily geared towards maintaining technique, although they do work for that. They are geared towards maintaining the tool set that lets me perform the technique. It's a little different. And because of that, I treat a couple things with it. I do a very specific, what would be technically a type of saber parry, but I do both hands. This tightens up the muscles in the back, helps me with some of my issues with hypermobility. But it also keeps my upper defense very strong. I go through the 9 guards. Well, the 8 guards that you throw shots from. And for efficiency, I do both arms at the same time. That allows me to work a lot of muscles at maximum extension. It allows me to keep a sense of visual mirroring, so I can keep track and I can compare my own form against itself. So what my right arm is doing should be about equivalent to what my left arm is doing, simultaneous. Later, you do simultaneous separate action, meaning you're taking 2 different maneuvers at the same basic time, all done in one tempo. But for maintenance, daily maintenance kind of stuff, I go from first position all the way through 8th. That means my 4 online parries, my 4 offline parries, And then I do a simple maintenance of keeping my shoulders loose by, at full extension in fourth, rotating my shoulders. This builds me up for my ninth position. Depending on my legs, I do lunges. And I mentioned that because I saw Houston Dave has lunged into the chat, and that's the exact way to come in. Equal with both legs. So you should be able to do the same. Now, because of the difficulty with my mobility, I may have to use a cane to do my lunges. I may have to use a stick, my staff I often use, to do my lunges and maintain balance. There is no shame in that. There's no shame in using, say, the arm of a couch to keep you balanced while you're doing your lunges. It's important. Good footwork is important, and it's something you don't want to slack on. This is why people who are in more Eastern arts do katas, whatever form you want to call them. That's more of a Japanese term, but you'll find the same thing. This is why the Yang short form of Tai Chi is very popular. You can memorize a series of body movements that once you've completed them, have addressed most of the body's necessary movements to function, while over time building stamina and skill. I treat my training a lot more like I'm not trying to learn the song. I want to make sure my scales are right. So my goal isn't necessarily to learn a specific song. It is to make sure my tones are all where they need to be. I am very good at improvising the song as the audience requires. Memorization is not my forte. So if I know I'm really not good at that, I find ways to work around it. I'm very good at coming up with a Lego design on the fly. I don't need to prearrange my blocks. I just need to make sure I have all the right blocks. I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope it helps. So first of all, with everything going on, maintaining your health will do a lot to prepare you for winter. Maintaining your footwork will make you less likely to fall on the ice. Remember to walk like a penguin on the ice, okay? You don't want your weight distributed all over the place. Simple, keep your legs straight, small motions, nothing fast. Just do what you have to do every time, every day. This will really help you. Now, geared more towards specifics, we are in a wonderful time for those of us who are looking to acquire gear. It is not the best time for certain types of gear, but it is a time. And what do I mean by that? If we are going to do Western martial arts, especially, there aren't as many Eastern martial arts that I've found that focus on shield use. They are there, they exist, and I'm sure Thesis and a few others will be able to gladly expound on them. But it is a much more common Western practice. It might have to do with the availability of metals. I'm not sure, but they do exist. That being said, this is the time of year where you can get a wonderful set of blanks for your basic day-to-day shield needs, being children's saucer sleds. Children's saucer sleds are made out of plastic that is designed expressly not to get too brittle during winter. It is fairly rigid with no small amount of flexibility. Many times it's pre-drilled. In the past we've done videos on how to quickly and effectively strap shields. Knowing shields, understanding how shields work in lines is very, very effective. It's something we need to do, so it's something we keep in mind. A lot of what we teach and what we do, from my perspective, being somebody who is not financially gifted, is a nice way to put it. There is a understanding that means we need to build our own gear. Now, you can purchase shields. I, for one, have a delightful riot shield downstairs that I believe was gifted to me, but they are not terribly expensive. But of late, I have found that they have been bought up rather frequently for reasons I don't dare try to fathom. Certain types of gear is becoming very popular to own if you don't already own it. So that leaves you with the need to think outside the box. Other resources for shields, for example, that spring to mind are, and a lot of it depends on your use and how strong you are, legally acquired retired signs. So old stop signs, old yield signs, depending on the size of you and the size of shield you want. Basically, any of the signs are made out of high quality aluminum. Finding them legally can be a bit of a challenge in that you have to be able to make contact with your local Department of Transportation, and they don't always allow for this, but it's something worth looking into. That gives you a wonderful resource to make body armor. That gives you a wonderful resource to make shield blanks, weapon guards. It is just a wonderful resource if you can get it. And while people are a little, as long as you are not heating aluminum and you're wearing a mask to keep masking goggles, so proper PPE to keep the material off your eyes, your face. Long gloves, I would recommend long sleeves because cutting and polishing aluminum is a very messy endeavor. I made the mistake once in my youth of not being properly PPE'd out because I was in discussion with some people back in the SCA. And what it was Jed Dreesen had a set of mild steel sabatons. And that a sabaton, if you don't know, is a arm guard that wraps around, I'm trying to think of the shape, but it cups your elbow and comes forward. And then there's a piece that overlays the top of your arm. Relatively simple to manufacture, high quality. Hers were mild steel, and she had acquired aluminum ones. And she was bemoaning that the aluminum ones were dull and that they weren't shiny. And I'm like, then polish them. Oh, you can't get aluminum to be shiny. Now, I happened to be at my friend Jesse's house, and Squire Jess, Kedifer, I can't remember his full last name in the SCA. Jesse Tibbetts was one of the best men I've had the privilege to ever know. And he's on that list of people that I mourn his passing frequently. But I learned a great deal of armoring from him, being that he was injured and I spent a summer being of use to him, basically trying to help him out because he was a good guy. I learned a lot about things I never expected to learn, including about brewing and such, which is not my forte and not my interest as I am a teetotaler. But I also learned about armor making, and I was at his house, and I said, "Hey, Jess, you got a polishing wheel?" And he got this big wolfish grin because he understood. Said, "I'll make you guys a deal. If I can get those shiny, give me your old ones." What? If I can get those shiny, I want your old metal ones. Like, but these are heavy and beat up. Fine. Well, we're going to take the leather and stuff off, the strapping. Fine by me. Don't need it. You're a fencer. I'm aware of this. And they got really confused. So I then went out and I took that aluminum to a polishing wheel and I proceeded to get a dang near mirror finish on it. It was beautiful. It took me a while. Now, the problem is I came back in between the aluminum powder and the polishing compound. I looked literally like the Tin Man from from Wizard of Oz. But they looked at those. I said, now you need to spray this with clear coat basically as soon as possible because it's going to start to reoxidize. If you want it to be shiny, it needs a heavy, preferably automotive clear coat, and it'll look gorgeous. And she used those for quite some time before she decided that her problems were armor related. She needed a new set of armor. She kind of went through a lot of armor, trying to find what worked for her. And I said, but I get those. And they said, here, fine. And I said, thank you. Well, why would you want them? Well, you see, and I explained, my plan is I'm going to drill holes in them and mount them on some boards. And I still have to do this. It's been many years since I had the opportunity because they got packed up when our move went wrong, but I have all my stuff, so it's just a matter of finding them again. I'm going to mount them like a cobbler's. I had the mule. Anyway, the part they used to shape boots. And then I'm going to use them to take water-hardened leather and wax-hardened leather and shape around them and use them to take barrel plastic heated up and shape around them as the mold so I can mass produce arm armor and elbows. And I can either do it as a sabaton or as two separate pieces. And suddenly they wanted them back. I'm like, no. We made a deal. It's not honorable to renege on a deal. If there's one thing I know about knights and squires, they're always honorable. So those are tucked away. I will be speaking with Amanda about finding those because that's, with a little bit of guidance, that would be something I could set up to work. And I'm really excited about that because I like the idea of making gear. As I deal with my sordid physicality issues, I need to start transitioning back into a step back role while I deal with or adapt to the reality. And many of you may have missed this. I recently had to go to the doctor for the extreme pain, etc. And they finally decided to check me for some things due to the paralysis in my legs. And they found that not only do I have rather advanced degenerative disc disease, but I have arthritis of my entire spine, and I have rather unfortunate and rather unpleasant bone spurs in certain places, which is the root of no small amount of my pain and relative inability, which going into cold weather and the unpleasant climate greatly limits my capabilities of doing things. It is a reality I've had to face, and it's something I suspected, but hearing it did have mental and emotional effects on me, as is expected. So that was some bad news because it means the stuff I've been working on won't go away. I can only mitigate it. On the good news, today's eye doctor visit secured that what's going on with my eyes should not be yet the thing that could lead to blindness. I have a condition where I have damage to my retinas from, actually, probably they think from a growth spurt. My eyes are too big. This is why I'm nearsighted. And in that, I essentially have stretch marks on the back of my eyes, a lattice work that is thinner material than the rest of the outer of my eyeball. And that can detach. It can rip. It can cause some very serious things. And there was a list of signs I am to watch for. And several of them came up in the last couple of weeks on top of everything. So in the last couple of weeks, I've been dealing with the possibility of going into winter, shall we say, possibly losing my vision. And that was quite stressful. Now that it's over, I'm comfortable talking about it. One of those burdens I had to carry till I knew whether I was all right or not, because I wasn't going to put that on anyone else. So, getting back to what we're talking about. Now is a great time for basic repair, basic gear acquisition, training yourself. Baroplastic, if you're looking for body armor, is really good, cheap, and easy to get a hold of. Always, again, mask, eyes. You do not want plastic shards in your lungs. You do not want plastic shards in your eyes. Take baroplastic deadly serious, especially if you're using heat. The vapors off of that stuff, off of HDPE, baroplastic, any of that, nasty stuff. Palsy and cancery kind of stuff. So you want to be sure to air that out extremely well when you're using it. Take frequent breaks. Use proper PPE. Also, if you're heating it, it can get hot, so you want good gloves. I actually find that they sell some welding gloves that people use for barbecue use as well, that are very good. You can get them at like Harbor Freight or Menards. They're thick, so they're not really good to fence in. Lord knows I've fenced in them enough, but because of the extra layers. But they are great for heat protection. So keep that in mind. Now, let's see. Ooh, sorry. In the process of sorted tests, I had to bend my back in weird ways, so I am definitely feeling it today. I don't want to neglect the chat, so I'm going to go through the chat, see what questions or comments you have, and we're going to go from there. I also want to remind you that we do have a Patreon, and the people listed below, I have to fix the fact, I think I have Don Dulas listed twice, but are the ones who let me do this channel. Now, as a sideline to my sort of costs, my coffers have been thinned. So what you guys make possible every month is really, really, really appreciated. And I could not do what I do for the people I do it for and for myself without your support. That's why. Now, let me come through. I have to fix the fact that we have comment dumps. And let's get through. First through the door at 7:30 was Sarah. Sarah, hello, my dear, my ebon winged angel. Evening. Hey there, Sarah. Hey, Foxy. Oh, hey, Foxy. Yeah, hey, Foxy. How you doing? Nice hot chicken pot pie going on. Ooh, since we like to talk about food. That sounds great. Houston Dave, lunch is in the chat. How are you doing, Dave? Wait a second. Yeah, I love Galveston Island. We used to camp down there, my folks, which is a haul from Indiana. Galveston Island is beautiful. Sorry, I saw your sign on. Evening all, evening thesis. We're having soup and sandwiches. That sounds good. I actually had soup right before I did the stream. Grilled cheese and beef stew for me. This is chicken. He's having chicken noodle with his grilled cheese. Very nice. Oh, tacos tonight. That was last night for me. We're all on the right page, I think. And Kitty is, I'm having a salad, but I rarely eat right after class is over. I understand that whole you have to get something in, but there's a lot of right. And grilled chicken wrap that was so full it needed to be double wrapped. Just keep talking like that to me, Dawn. This is not the green room. Anyway, makes sense. Lunges into the chat. I love that. Kebabs, lunges, taco, fencing. Yes! Welcome to the Historical Fencing Guild. It's also a great time, since it's cold, to dehydrate food. Dehydrators can be a little pricey, but there's surprising workarounds. Look it up. Okay, ended up with additional bad news, so I'll talk to you more later. Can't focus right now. I am absolutely here as you need me, Sarah. Love you, Sarah. Hugs, Sarah. Renew your healthcare for 2025 for the next 2 weeks. We'll talk. We walk the park near our house most weekends and a few times a week. Wonderful. That's right. Get everything in order for the coming financial changes, and get your work to get yourself in as good a shape as possible for the spring. Feel better, Sarah? When I was rehabbing my hip, says Thesis, I had to do leg lifts, and for the first time, I had to hold on to the back of the chair to keep me from falling over. Yes, being injured is a wonderful experience towards preparing for age-based disability. Not saying that aging will disable you, although it eventually will, but the odds, if you live an active life, that you will do damage that limits your ability is essentially 100%, so you might as well. And thanks. Dealing with something, can't focus. It's a topic we don't bring into the shows. Forgot to exit in the middle of what's going on. Sorry, I'm a little vague booking. You're fine. We support you. No issue. Stamina, skill, work, recovery, rest. You get it. You get it, Dave. Yep. I will work on pronouncing that. A Chinese term for kata or form is, and then that. Honestly, I'm still having some rather difficulties from a bit of the reaction. So thank you. I made a mistake. No, I streamed this to the wrong channel. I will be downloading this and re-uploading it. Like I said, I had some problems. That explains why the chat is so spicy. So you guys are getting Historical Fencing Guild on the wrong channel. I will... Oh, that is so embarrassing. Thank you. But this is not the guild. Well, it doesn't matter. Yep. I will... And Sabaton is a Swedish power metal band. I am familiar with them. New medical stuff is never fun. Nope. And, oh, great. And my net is starting to cut out. 7 viewers, 5 likes. Grab the flogging. We're up to 10. And dropped mine early. The last time I ate right before class, I got violently ill. Had to grab had leftover crab rangoons and pot stickers. I probably should have had something more substantial, but we got our boosters yesterday. I feel kind of awful. Yes, I will probably be getting my boosters in the next couple days between my 22nd and wedding anniversary, which was yesterday, and my LaunchCon. I needed to not risk having an adverse effect. So I will be prepping for that and setting up. All right. Pot stickers. All right. Before I go on to anything else, to the chat, is anything specifically on your minds? Aside from the fact that I'm broadcasting to the wrong channel, which I don't think I can edit. Can I add destination? Let me see. Yep, can't do that. Okay. I will take the pre-recorded stream and I will put it up there with an apology. Thank you for the heads up. I also will hold out as long as I can. I am suffering something of a weather-based, rather extreme headache, and I'm more than a little dehydrated because what they put my whole thing through, which means I have to hydrate. Now, how can? Oh, okay. Wait. Let's see. Two great questions. First off, let me see. I was thinking this week about doing some cross-training with HEMA stuff, but don't know where to start. Where do you suggest I look? Are you looking for equipment? And what kind of equipment are you looking for? And what styles? If you're looking for specific training videos, I can reference some stuff for you. I know where you can buy some. Finding them online do exist. I can send you a bevy of links. I just need to know exactly what you're looking to do or more to do, and then go from there. But you're in the great place looking at the Historical Fencing Guild and, of course, the Simple Sword. How can you improve mobility in winter gear? Now, that's a great question because the Historical Fencing Guild, historically, ironically, is one of the few groups that actually tends towards winter practicing. If you look at, oh God, you have to scroll back a few years, but we have some of our sparring videos of us 20 below fighting on snow piles and fighting in parking lots. The best way to improve mobility in winter gear is to first practice in it. One thing you always want to do is practice in your gear. So I'm going to answer your stuff and then get back more towards Kitty's because the back of my mind is still answering her question. As you do stuff, you have to think, where is it binding? Where is it blocking? There have been a lot of advances in thinner insulation that can work much better for keeping you warm. However, thinner stuff does not give the benefit of padding. Remember, most historical, especially European gear, when you think chainmail, you think plate mail, brigadine, was worn over what would be called a gambeson. And gambesons were often made of very strong fabric that was stitched to have straight panels, channels, that is, and they would take hair, horse hair, wool, human hair from haircuts, it doesn't matter, and wedge it down and pack it as tight as they could in these channels to make something that would absorb a lot of impact. And fabric like that can actually do a surprisingly good job of interfering with knife thrusts. You know, it can tangle and it can keep slashing cuts down. Very good for slashing cuts, especially when you combine it with chainmail over. Surprisingly effective. Not perfect, because both of those can transfer blunt force. But it's a good start. And Foxy continues, I often have trouble with sleeves being too long and getting in the way. That's where tailoring is so important. If you are going to get into the kind of stuff we do, there are skill sets that really help. Being able to sew or knowing someone whom you can pay, bribe, or through other means get to sew you things is a life changer, financially and strategically, tactically. Many times to do what you want to do, things need to be custom fit to you. So getting back to Kitty, a lot of times your gear needs to be as close to bespoke as possible. If you are looking for gear, there are retailers that I prefer. In the chat should be my link for Purple Heart Armory, especially if you are looking for weapons trainers. Their armor is a little price-wise a little spicy. For fabric-based armor in America, I do recommend Zen Warrior Armory. Zen Warrior Armory is a company out of, I want to say, North Carolina. And I've been doing business with them as long as I've been fencing, so 30 years. Their prices went up a bit, but they are very good at tailored gear. And they are, in the overall scope, very, very reasonable. Beware secondary shops. Beware things that aren't making it for our kind of use. Like, you can find gear on museum collectibles and sites like that, but you don't know. The other thing you might want to look into is making sure you have a quality fencing mask. Because regardless of what group you're playing with, you will need some kind of head protection. And a large number of groups rely on fencing masks. Now, masks are, pardon my yawn, there is a storm rolling in and the pressure is just caving my skull. What I would recommend, bare minimum, is a fencing mask, hood or a back protection if you can get it, a gorget to protect your neck and upper spine. Mine are a mess. A plastron. If you are engaging in anything that has contact, especially for women, you need a piece of chest plate. Is my plastron available? Not currently. It is tucked away. But it's basically a solid plastic piece that is worn between layers of clothing. So usually over your undergarments, but under your outer garments. It has straps. It can be over your outer garments because one thing that has been proven scientifically is repeated impacts to breast tissue can increase the odds of breast cancer. And I am very, my mother is a cancer survivor. I am very sensitive to that subject. Quality gloves can be found in several retailers. I need to do a preferred retailer video. So if you give me till next week and somebody messages me, especially, I will set that up. And I'll do a whole preferred retailers, things to buy, things to make. Basically, that's going to be where you want to go. If you are going to be sparring and you need, we'll say, double use item body armor for the cold, consider getting something like a Carhartt, one of the heavy canvas outered jackets. I used to use essentially a black denim padded, a winter coat as my winter gambeson, and then I put hard over that. There are a few other companies that have assorted coats, but like I said, I know for a fact that Zen Warrior Armory is good. And as I recall, you are in Canada. That shouldn't be a problem. Shipping shouldn't be too bad. Okay, I'm sorry. YouTube keeps trying to eat your messages. So I'll wait, and Foxy says nom nom. But while we're waiting on that, Kitty, please tell me a little bit more what you're interested in leaning into. I will say, if you default HEMA, they will almost all put you toward longsword, because HEMA loves them some longsword. The HEMA guys officially love longsword. There are a lot of groups, and some are more hit and miss than others, depending on what you are looking for. A lot of times it's a sliding scale of how LARPy, for lack of a better term, how roleplay heavy versus how practical it is, and quality of education. For example, there's a group called ARMA, Armed Renaissance Martial Arts, I think. Armored or Armed Renaissance Martial Arts. The problem with them is, to be a member, you have to sign a contract stating that you will not teach anyone outside of ARMA what you have learned in ARMA. And as the Historical Fencing Guild was founded with the express purpose of doing the very opposite, that even though they have access to the best manuals, is a level of gatekeeping that I cannot recommend. So we will have that as a situation. Sorry, I am just cooking right now. Okay, do it through Facebook Messenger, and let me see what we're getting. Oh, I bet it's assuming the terms are weapon-based, and we do catch that. Okay. Let me mute this so that I don't hear. Let's see. Oh! Okay. You're looking for not necessarily equipment, but something similar to Thesis's Meyer Square. Something I could do to better prepare myself for going against a Western practitioner. Delightful. In that case, Meyer Square is very good, especially if you're dealing with longsword. Honestly, the best thing you could do, and this is look at something like my book. If you don't have access to a copy, let me know. Arrangements can be made. I understand finances and international shenanigans can be that. But what you want to do is at least cursory understand. There is actually, it's not the best video I've ever done. It's probably sometime this winter, assuming my physicality holds up, and I can get word to Trelena. Kitty, to answer the question, I like the square, but I don't want to be flinging my dart at a computer screen or television. That's why you print it off and possibly hand transfer it to target material. Let me see. Do I know where that is? No, I don't know where anything is right now. Blarg. Okay. A while back, I did a video on how to make a simple fencing target for next to nothing using camp pad foam, duct tape, some cardboard, and some markers. And give me just a second to get some tools hopping up ready for you. Let me do this. Let me come here, share screen. Window here, share. And we'll do this. Okay, I have the technology to deal with this. Add to stage. All righty. Let me just come here. Pop, pop. That'll do. Hide that. I don't know if you guys see. Okay. So, one, because my eyes are still being rather I'm still incredibly light sensitive. We're going to do that to just not be blasting me out. I hope you can understand. Let me grab, we'll just grab a black. And we'll grab pen. Nice marker. Straightforward. Okay. So what I would do, if you have a blunted oh yeah, no, that's not even a problem. It would be very simple. So roughly what you're going to take, instead of making one, we're going to make it real simple. You're going to take, because as I recall, give me a second. I need to look something up. Maturity, our name is Nick. Here we go. Excellent. Okay. Come on, let me see the picture. Oh, it's being stupid again. There we go. Ah, beautiful. Somebody swiped the image, and did some stuff with Redbubble. So what I'm going to do is come here now that I don't need that. Grab this image real quick just to make life easier for me. 4, 2, 1, 3, 1, 3, 4, 2, 4, 2, 1, 3, 1, 3, 4, 2. Now, if we have this, and we go here, we go, wait a second. No, I'm going to make this even simpler on me. I'm going to go here. Hold on. Because you guys know this is a square. And here, that's block closed. We'll just do it like this. Red, blue, blue, orange, and green. Now, what you do is, thank you, I've got the cutting square. I found it. Is you can either do this online with a friend, have them call out the color. Here, let me get this back. Not with that though. That hurts my soul. Okay. 2-person drill. This is a variant of how I used to do things. Color plus number. And I just dyslexiated that upside down because I am special. Called out by 1. Performed by another. Okay. So what you do is you set up. Yes, it is literally like Twisted for Swords. And then some of them include thrusts and others will randomize the quadrants. Exactly. We're going to make this work on a 0 budget. I actually taught a while back a system like this. But yes, it's Twister for Swords. You should be able, I would check, but check twister go spinner. So you yourself could actually do something like it with a mechanical device. Now, you can arrange a little bit of programming would be able to get a voice that would call out randomly these numbers. It wouldn't be hard, but it would be easier with the technology we have to just have somebody do a live stream with you, or not live stream, a video call, a video direct message, and just have thesis be like 4 red, 2 orange, and then you could just say, let's see, cut red 4. So you know to cut into red 4th position. I think that would give you the image without the sorry, this is really kind of odd, but Meyer modded. I wish Richie were here, but I will send that to him when he is no longer impersonating Odin. But something like that could easily give you with that. Oh, that pink hurts my eyes. Well, that's why I turned it off. But developing techniques like this, going, what's a problem? How can we practically solve it with as little financial outlay as possible? And as reasonable as possible. For example, with a technique like this, what you can do is you could put this on essentially a throw pillow. Just get some fabric markers and a cheap square throw pillow. They sell them at all the marts and box stores. Color it how you want. If you don't know how to sew, I don't know if you're a seamstress in any way, shape, or form, but then you have it, and not only will you be able to use that as a targeting drill for sword work, it's a targeting drill for a blunted rope dart. The bit with the tennis ball on the end, for example, would work really well, and you could practice with it. I know we've talked extensively on how to mod that for combative training, and it's just good target acquisition. Your art is much closer to where I put thrown weapons and marksmanship than traditional hand-to-hand combat. But I hope that answers your question. This is a good episode. But we only have about 2 more minutes, so I want to thank you guys. That's what my practice started with, some paracord and racquetball. Perfect! I love racquetballs. I used to. About 3 lifetimes ago, I played handball. But yeah, that's perfect. And you'll be able to hit it, record it, so you can see how good your accuracy is. But that gives you, for maybe $10-$20 on the high end. I don't know if you have a thrift store where you could possibly get a couch cushion or a pillow or something like that. Think that way. Make yourself a buffer, again, out of a couple layers of camp pad, 3 or 4, wrap it in duct tape. Closed-cell foam is often used to ship things, so you get a package that has some closed-cell foam, save it, package it up, you're good to go. It can theoretically be a no special cost outlay solution to your problem. But friends, we are hitting the end of the hour, and I have some matters that require my attention. I hope I've been helpful to both of you. Foxy, we can talk more about specific armoring, especially reach out to Mandy, my lovely wife. My internet is starting to drop off for reasons I'm not surprised by. So I'm going to say, guys, keep fighting, keep your guard up, keep your eyes open. Be kind to yourself and each other. And as always, thank you for supporting your local swordmaster. Huge thanks to Don Dulas, Off in the Woods, Frog G, Ronald Raid, Bladed Thesis, don't worry about that, Brian K. Morris, Cindy Kep, Steve Augusto, And it says Don Dulos again because it typoed, and Angelina Vaquera Link. I hope I've said her name right. Huge thanks to Johnny for letting me know that I'm going to have to do some tinkering to post this where it needs to go. That's fine, but we have the means to fix that. With that, guys, thank you so much. Stay safe. Stay calm. If you need help, reach out to people. Okay? I love you, and you should too. Toodles.